Good morning, ma'am. I will discuss about from reform to radicalism. What is reform? Reform make changes in or something, typically a social, political, or economic institution or practice in order to improve it. Reform, it is a change or ito po ay may pagbabago. Ang example po, ang example po dito ay halimbawa po in 'di ba po in our society, we in our society there are cancer in our society if there's problem that currently involved in our society. Siyempre po mahirapan po ang mga tao na mag-function in order to improve the situation. Kailangan pong mayroon tayong gagawing change na tinatawag. So, ang tawag po diyan ay reform o pagbabago. Ito po yung paraan na ginagawa ng mga Indio para po may pagbabago sila sa lipunan na ginagalawan nila during that time. So, nagkakaroon po tayo ng tinatawag na propaganda movement. Propaganda movement are the one of the example of reform. And the next is radicalism. Radicalism is the belief that society needs to be changed and that these changes are only possible through revolutionary means. The similarity of reform to radicalism is it also talk about change. And may pagbabago rin po siya, but the change in the radicalism, it's a drop. When we say a drop, mabilis po ang revolutionary, and that is the radicalism. Mabilis ang pagpalit ng kanilang changes at hindi nila sometimes tinitingnan kung anong mga may casualty ba, kunwari may mga dadanak ba na dugo, may mamamatay ba in order to make changes. Kahit may mamamatay o magbubuwis ng buhay, ay parang okay lang sa kanila yon. That is the radicalism. That is the example of radicalism. And radical po yung pag-atake nila. And it's talk about change din, but yung way na pag-abot nila sa change ay mabilisan. At kahit dumanak pa ng dugo, okay lamang. Okay lang. At one of the example of radicalism during the 19th century was the Katipunan. And they are the KKK, kung saan sila na mismo ginagamit nila ang kanilang mga puwersa, lakas para kalabanin ang mga nasa katungkulan, especially yung mga Spanish authority in the Philippines. So that is the radicalism. And here is the reform movement, the significance of the movement, which is the KKK. The copies of La Solidaridad and of Rizal's novels reached the local ilustrados. The propaganda materials highlighted the very lack of freedom. And the next is a feeling of empathy grew among the people, lead to the founding of the Katipunan. The next is the result and significance of propaganda movement. And here is the great performance of propaganda movement. First group is suspected filibusteros and included the Creoles and Spanish mestizos in the wake of Cavite Mutiny of 1872. And the second great performist group is the young men sent to Spain for studies like Jose Rizal. And the third group is the refugees who left the Philippines to escape persecution. And most prominent were Graciano Lopez Haina and Marcelo H. Del Pilar. Si Graciano Lopez Haina po and si Marcelo H. Del Pilar, sila po yung sila po yung tinatawag na most prominent. When we say propaganda movement, ito yung mga samahan ng mga ilustrado, especially yung mga nakapag-aral na mayayamang Pilipino sa Europe. One of the way na propagandista is to use set of communication actions through books, leaflets, and newspaper articles by group of Filipinos who called for political reforms lasting approximately from 1880 to 1898, with the most activity between 1880 and 1895. The propaganda movement is a peaceful movement for reform. So they use literature, and they use communication in terms of newspaper books, leaflets, para po mapahayag nila yung kanilang pakikibaka para sa reforma. Next is the nature of the reform movement. This propaganda aims to expose the evils of Spanish colonialism, particularly the abuses of the priors and the Guardia Civil in Madrid, Spain. Colonial officials in the Philippines were reactionary. And next is there was no clamor for independence at the first reformist the main goal was the assimilation of the Philippines, which was to become a province of Spain in a peaceful manner. And next is the role of the middle class. The middle class began the movement for reforms in their attempt to win a place in the sun and to end the abuses and arrogance of colonial officials. They were looked upon with suspicion by the masses due to the perceived arrogance and insolence of the latter, and the middle class sided with the masses. Those are the members of propaganda movement. So there are the ilustrado, or the Filipino elite, or the principalias that were in the Europe during that time, and they help movement para po magkaroon tayo ng reform. And there is the rule of the middle class. The Spanish composed of the Spanish and Chinese mestizos and natives, looked down by the Spaniards who belonged to Peninsulares, or the Spaniards born in Spain, and the Insulares are the Spaniards born in the Philippines. And prior to 1870s, Filipinos were the Insulares or Creoles.